So now let's jump in and have a look at the demonstration of the packaging. So this is a sales order I've created, and it has one material. If I were then to note that the item category here is tan, and now I'm going to create a delivery. Oops, the date is not right, so I'll just update the date. And I'm now going to, you can see here, a quantity of 2 for the material. And I'm going to save this and create the delivery. So if I now, in display mode, I can see for quantity of 2 for the material. Now, if I were to go into change mode, and I click on the handling unit, which is this button here, the packing button, the little box, Shift F6. So if I go ahead and click that, I'm now moved, or I'm now put into the handling unit screen. And as you can see here on the top, I have my handling unit. So I'm going to put in a material, my packaging material. I press enter, and it's now created one handling unit, one box. We have a handling unit number, and I'm going to put my material that's in the delivery into the handling unit here. So this box now is one handling unit, and it has my one material of a quantity of 2. And if we here, the first tab, we have the dimension of the box, the weight, the volume, and so forth. If we then go on the status button, we have status information here, which packaging material type we're going to use, which material group. We'll have a look at that in detail a little bit more when we look at the configuration. We have the packing material category and so forth. Here we have additional data. If there's anything else that we want to have, maybe some packing instructions, for example, shipping point, sales organization in case we want to sell the item category here as well, sales organization, and the item category here of the material. If we click on content, it shows you what's inside the box, the history, what's happened to it, and some general information. So here you can see on the header level is all of the information of the box. That is the SACC number that we talked about, and in SAP we can get that generated, or we can get that created by ourselves. So if I go ahead, if I save that, so now against this delivery we have one handling unit, i.e. one box. And if I were to go back into the delivery, you can see this new item here, which represents the packaging material. And if I click on picking, it has defaulted to the storage location according to the storage location rules. So as you can see here, for this item here, it's a new packaging material that through configuration I have automatically placed in the delivery. And what happens is when I do the PGI, or when I do the post goods issue, the material, the stock of this material will also go down. So if I were to go back here, you can see here, this is the highest level, which is the pallet, and that's the lower level for where the material is placed. We looked at packaging on the delivery. Now let's have a look at the packaging of the shipment. So if I run the transaction VT02N, which is the shipment transaction, I click on the packaging or packing icon here. I can put in my packing material. Like in the delivery, I can then put all of my materials in one or more handling unit. And if we scroll through, you can see that it looks exactly the same as the handling unit in the delivery. There's no difference at all, except there's a little bit more on the handling unit group. So what is the main difference between packaging or packing on the delivery level and on the shipment level? Well, you would pack on the shipment level or packing on the shipment level allows you to group multiple items from multiple deliveries into one handling unit that's been assigned to one shipment. So that sounds logical. So if I had one big truck or one shipment, and against it I had multiple deliveries, then one box could be made up of items or multiple items from multiple deliveries. So that is when I would want to do my packing on a shipment level. If I were to do my packing on a delivery level, then I would do my handling unit and packing on the delivery itself. Yeah, so that is when you would pack on the delivery level versus packing on the shipment level. So now that we've seen how the packaging is used in SAP, let's now have a look at how we all set it up. The first thing that we need to do is actually create the packing material. So we can either create a packing material with the group VERP or the group LEIH here for returnable packaging. So let me create a new material, MM01 to create a new material, and we can have a look at the material type. So if we have a look here in the material type, you can see here LEIH for returnable packaging and VFRP for normal packaging, so the packaging that we want to sell. So let's have a look at the one I've created. So here's a material that I've created before. Let's go into it. We can see the items that are relevant for packaging. So we have to have a look at the basic data view, the sales view, and the plant view. These are things where there are important aspects for packaging. So the first thing that you'll see, you by default have the gross weight of the packaging, you have the unit of measure, all the same thing. The item category group, VERP for packaging, of course, or LEIH for returnable packaging, but the important thing to note here is the material group for packing materials. And that's important because it then determines, okay, this is used to say what materials can be packed into this packaging material. We'll have a look at the config for this in a minute, but just make a note. Yeah, so this material, in this material type, yeah, so we then go into the sales view because we'll be selling this material, obviously. It's standard as any material. Sales org 2, just note that the item category is VERP for packaging materials. The transportation group is as per normal. Yeah, so this is the material group we talked about. The material packaging type tells you what type of material is it. So so these two in combination, yeah, tells you how the material can be packaged. And I just want to be clear. The top one tells you what type of packaging material it is, and the packaging material type says what can be put into a particular packaging. Now the second one would usually be maintained on normal materials, and the packaging materials would maintain the material packing group. So the material packing group might be A, and on the normal materials you would say all of the packaging material type, like 1, can go into packaging type A. I know it's a little bit confusing at the moment, but just hold on to that idea and then let's have a look at the configuration. So now let's have a look at the material group pack materials, which just says what type of packaging material it is. Yeah, so let's go into SPRO, into the configuration, and I said before, this tells you what type of packaging it is. So let's have a look at the configuration in logistics execution, under shipping, and the packing. And let's just double check material group pack material. So let's have a look at the defined material group for packing materials. So if we were to go in here, execute, and you can see here these are all the types that I've created before. Yeah, you can see here material groups 10, 20, pumps, trucks, whatever you want. Okay, so now look at the defined packing material types. Now, the defined material packing types describes and control what kind of handling unit it is. And what I mean by this is the packaging material type could be a pallet, it could be a box, it could be a metal cage, it could be a container of a shipment. So the packaging material type, I'm sorry if I say this a little bit slowly, sometimes I also get confused, so I try to use it a little bit slowly. The packaging material type holds all of the configuration for that handling unit. So if we have a box, for example, we would say, oh, whether you would need an SSCC number, whether or not you would need a number assignment. So let's have a look at the configuration, and then this will become clearer. So now let's go into a packaging material type, create, for example, and you can see the detailed configuration. The first thing you see is the output determination procedure and the output type, and this is used to print out the labels once you finish the packing, for example. You have the plant determination. So how do I determine the plant? Either I can determine it from the packaging material, or I can copy the plant from the first item that was packed. Yeah, and it's really by default how you would use it. I generally use B. It's simple. Packaging material category, I always use C. I'm not really sure what else to use. The generate delivery items, we'll have a look at this in a minute, but basically it controls when to create the item on the delivery, whether or not to use an SSCC number or to use an internal number range for the handling unit number. Yeah, we already saw this in our demo. Yeah, the handling unit type, I always use unrestricted, and the intervals for the numbering. So now if we go back to our presentation, let's have a look at the defined allowed packaging materials. And what this is it says, okay, for a particular type of material, what packaging material can be used on this material. So it says, let's say for example, material group A can always be packed in a box. Material group A cannot be packed, let's say, on a pallet. Yeah, so that's how it works. So let's have a look at the matrix. Hopefully it'll be a little bit easier for you to understand once you have a look at the config. So let's go back to SAP. I go back out one step and I select the allowed packaging material. So on the left you see the material group packaging material. What basically this is on each and every material you say, you assign it a material group, and you say this material belongs to this particular material group. And on the right hand side you say that for these types of materials can be packed into this type of packaging materials. Yeah, let me repeat that again. So on the left you have your normal material and you say it can be packed into a box. Yeah, so you would assign the packing group to that standard material. And on the right hand side is the packaging type of the packing material. So on that packing material itself you say this packaging material belongs to this particular group. And the combination of the left and right hand side says that these normal materials can be packed into these type of packaging. Yeah, I hope that's clear. It's a little bit difficult to understand, but I would suggest pause here or rewind and watch this again. Yeah, one last thing, they can be found on the material master as you saw before. Yeah, and they are assigned on the material master. So one material can be assigned to one type of packaging. And remember, if you wanted to have multi-level packaging, the packaging material itself can be assigned to another group of packaging material. So you can have, one on top of the other. Let's have a look at an example. Let's say I want to have a look at the material group packing type. So I want to see what can be packed into the packing material type V010. Oops, that's the wrong one. So here you can see here material group M010 can be packed into the packaging material type V010. That means that any material assigned the material group M010 can be packed into that packaging type V010. Now it gets kind of complex, I can understand that, and it's better before you do the configuration, do it on an Excel spreadsheet. That's what I've always done. So I've always said, here are the material groups, they'll be assigned to different materials, finished good materials. However, these are the packaging types that I have, these are the groups that I have, and I link them together in Excel before I even start the configuration in SAP. It's easier that way. Next, let's have a look. We now have to ensure that the delivery can accept the packaging material. So let's have a look at that. So if we go to the config, if we go to the delivery header, so under shipping, deliveries, define delivery types, let's have a look at our LF. And if we look at the details, there's a flag here that says generate pack material item. What this means is when I press the save button and I have a handling unit, take all of the packaging that you used in the handling unit and create a material item. Create a new item on the delivery. And lastly, let's have a look at the packing material types again. So if I go to packing and define packaging types, oops, not allow packing materials. Let me go back. So let me define packaging material types, and if I were to select my packaging material types here, you can see here the generate delivery items must be set either A or B. If it was left blank, you would not be able to, the system will not copy the item across. It must be either A, which is copy it for every shipping point, ship to party, or B. Because we are adding a new item on the delivery, it must be able to determine the item category on the delivery. So if we go to the define item category determination, if we look at the delivery type LF, for example, you can see here the usage is pack, which means it's the automatic population, and you can see here the item category is determined, so TAL and NUPM. So what this means is document type LF, item category, let's say VERP. The usage is pack, which is always populated if the system tries to automatically create a new item line based on the packing material in the delivery, and that would determine the item category. Because, as I said before, if the packaging or packing is done in the delivery, that packing material does not appear on the sales order, it doesn't have an item category, it cannot copy it from the sales order to delivery, it needs to determine the item category on the delivery itself. That's why you have to do the configuration. So finally, just a tip. If you have done all of this config to automatically get the packing materials to appear as an item on the delivery, and it's not working, you've packed the materials correctly, you save it, nothing is appearing, manually create a new item line for the packing material. SAP will then tell you the error saying item category cannot be determined or something else, and that is your error. That is the easiest way to see where is your missing config. Create manually the packing item on the delivery, get the error message and fix it.